Okay, here's a supply example from the game Pacific Victory by Columbia Games. Here are the applicable rules, and it basically boils down to each unit needing to be able to trace supply to a supplied friendly major base, which can be a maximum of 3 hexes away, so 2 intervening hexes, and from there it has to be able to trace to another major base or possibly directly to a home base. Anyway, that's where a supply line is supposed to end, in a home base. Now, I've played the first turn of the 1941 scenario, and this is what happened. It's just a learning game, so I think I may have made some mistakes, especially on the part of the Japanese player, because the hexes, so not just the individual units, but the hexes that I've marked with a black pawn, are the ones that I believe are now unsupplied, and I'll explain to you why, and then I'll go into some American examples here, which I believe are supplied, and I'll explain that to you as well. Well, I might as well start with that one because it's perhaps easier. I've marked those with the red pawns, and I believe the units in Manila are supplied because it is in itself a major base, and it can trace through the blockaded hex here, which makes sea supply friendly, then onto Balikpapan, to Borneo, and to another major base, and there are 2 intervening hexes here, so that should be obviously these 2, because this one is has friendly sea supply, so it can trace from Batavia and then straight to South Africa, or possibly even to Perth and then all the way over here and then to America, which would be better, I suppose. Because tracing to South Africa, even though it's possible, that is referred to as cross supply, and it's more costly, I believe. Don't know exactly what the consequences are, but you will want to trace back to America, which would be possible from Batavia to Perth, to Melbourne, Sydney, Auckland, and then Fiji, Samoa, and back again. So it can trace to America as well, I believe. Now, as for Japan, as I said, I believe all these units are unsupplied. Rangoon and the Japanese roundels I've placed there from Axis and Allies, and I've used them to denote that those are economic points that would be under Japanese control if they were supplied, because those need to be supplied in the same way as any units in them are. But I believe Rangoon is not supplied because it can trace to Singapore, but Singapore itself is not supplied because it cannot trace through the sea zone here because it's enemy blockaded. And if it tries to trace over land, and that's also why these units are out of supply, note that the rail line, even though it's difficult to see, there is no rail line here between Canton and, well, Hong Kong, I believe it's called, or Hanoi, actually, the hex is called. There is no rail line there, so the rail line that is there traces through Chinese occupied territory, and that's why I believe all these units are out of supply, because they cannot trace to Canton, which, by the way, itself is blockaded. So it seems perfectly clear to me that all these units are therefore unsupplied and subject to a step loss. Now, if I got this wrong, which is quite possible, because as I said, I'm just learning this game, then please respond to this video and point out to me why it's not correct. Thank you for watching.